Hello everyone, this is Eflex and welcome back to another A Producer's Approach video. In this video, we're going to be looking at Trivecta's song Ghost in a Machine. So if you haven't watched my videos in the past, I basically break down these videos into three separate sections. I have an intro backstory section, breakdown analysis section, and then lastly an outro section. So this is Trivecta's song Ghost in a Machine. This song is a song I have really liked because it's reminded me a lot of the kind of more older progressive house that you would have heard from like 2012 to about 2015. You don't hear that too much anymore today. Every once in a while you'll hear a song like it, but you don't hear it too often. But this song, luckily by Trivecta, was kind of, I feel like, an homage to, older progressive house. And the vocalist isn't mentioned, but I read in the comments that the vocalist is Rory, spelled Rory. And that's a vocalist that's worked a lot with Seven Lions and Trivecta. And I think the vocalist, I'm not sure if it's a he or she, is part of the Ophelia Records, which is owned by Seven Lions, because I've seen the Rory name pop up. But it's just interesting that they're not credited within the song. But anyways, Trivecta is an artist I've known since he first debuted on Monstercat with One Night Only. And One Night Only was a really great song. And Believe, I think, is the better known song, but I really like One Night Only. Like, that song just captured the whole essence of Trivecta. And he's made countless other songs in countless different genres. But Into the Limelight is his last house song from what I can remember. So this is a different vibe, but similar in a sense. But what I do like about this song is the use of the vocoders within the song and just the overall atmosphere. So anyways, this is Trivecta's song Ghost in the Machine, and let's get started.
Maybe I'm colorblind, don't know where I lost the colors. I only see black and white, come to think of it.
So far, I really like how the vocals start off the song with the main vocal and then the vocoder vocals harmonizing on the bottom. And it's just kind of nice to start off with the vocals. A lot of songs start off with the instrumentals before introducing the vocals. It's not very often you hear a song just start off with the vocals within an EDM song. I know that's a little more popular for maybe pop music and such, but in EDM you don't hear that very often. So I like the effects at the end of these measures, or at least this kind of group of measures. At 13 seconds here, you hear like the reverb and delay here. I don't know if there's that much reverb and delay throughout the whole vocals playing within this vocal phrase, but it seems like to give a little bit of emphasis since there's a little bit of a gap in between the vocals within the section. So kind of fills the space for a little bit with some of the effects. So anyways, let's keep going.
But it all comes back when the moon gets low, dancing in the afterglow. And when the room starts spinning and my eyes are closed, feeling like I'm not alone. 'Cause there's a ghost in the machine. I only see you when I go to sleep. I build a wall under the sheets, and when I'm dreaming that you're here with me, I close.
Okay, so the vocal plays out for a little bit. They're harmonized, the main vocal and the vocoder vocals. You hear more of the vocoder vocals come out, and then you hear the plucks come in playing the chord progression, which to me is what I think really sold me within the section. Already with the vocals, the main vocal and the vocoder already sold me there, but the plucks really reminded me of an older house song, because a lot of the older house songs between the 2012-15 period, at least on Monstercat, a lot of them use this plugin called Silent. Now this might be Serum, the newer version of like a plugin that a lot of producers use now. Before, a lot of producers used to use the synthesizers Massive and Silent one. Now a lot of them use Serum. Some still use, Silent and stuff, but the plucks just remind me a lot of that Silent kind of sound that you would hear in a lot of house music back in 2012 and 15. So they would all come in that way with the chord progression pluck like that. So it reminds me a lot of that. And then there is a VFX that kind of goes into here. So, anyways, let's keep going. So within the section, you do hear more of the high end of the vocal, and then you do hear a nice kind of white noise VFX sweep. So that's pretty nice there. And overall, there is a little bit more of a maybe ambient sound in the background or a pad that's I hear a little bit more high end within the section. So the main takeaway was that VFX, though I hear that within this section. So, anyways, let's keep going. Okay, so basically you hear the snare come in after that kind of part where I just paused. You hear the snare come in, starts pretty slowly and then gets a little bit faster, and then you hear the vocal play. Then you hear a little bit more white noise, and then you hear the vocal just get chopped. So then it's kind of chopped and repeated, has some effects on it. It's not as loud, so that's pretty interesting there to where they kind of lowered it a little bit, so it gives more emphasis on the snare buildup. And then you hear the synth introduced kind of before the main drop. So you hear that introduced to, give you kind of a heads up of the synth coming into the chorus section. And then you hear a little bit of the chord progression as well. But then you hear the main kind of vocal hook come in right before the drop. So more traditional kind of build up in the sense for a house song, but it's pretty nostalgic to what a 2012 2015 progressive house song would be. So pretty cool, and we'll keep going. Okay, so the first drop so far, percussion wise, nothing too crazy, just a kick and a snare, or a clap later on, but mainly the kick in the beginning. Then the clap comes in a little bit afterwards, just to give some variation in the percussion. You hear the main melody, and then you hear the chord progression on the bottom. The main melody sounds like a saw wave of some sorts, because it sounds like it has a lot of high end, kind of like a super saw or something in that degree of regard. So the chord progression could be a saw as well, adding to that high end, but you hear a lot of the high end come more from the lead sound, maybe because it's in a higher pitch. But it's a really catchy lead, and there's some variation in flow again when the clap comes in. So anyways, really good, really melodic, really catchy so far. So let's keep going. Okay, so the second part of that drop, the claps come in, the hi-hats come in, you do hear the kind of lead play, and then the vocal comes in to kind of outro kind of and transition from this drop into the break section, which I think is a really nice touch, because the vocal gives like a nice variation and nice use of space within the section. So it's really not so much needed, but it's a nice kind of addition to this section to really kind of capture the essence of the song. And then I do like how Trivecta kind of outroed or kind of transitioned the song pretty well within this section of the drop. Like, it's not like a really quick transition into the break section. It's kind of like a transition that takes its time. Certain sounds kind of filter out or end, and there's like some filtering there. So the vocal is the main present thing that kind of hooks or ties the end of the drop to the break section together. So, anyways, let's keep going.
Why don't we go somewhere where we can grow old together and nobody knows we're there? Come to think of it, but it all comes back when the moon gets low, dancing in the afterglow. And when the room starts spinning and my eyes are closed, feeling like I'm not alone. 'Cause there's a ghost.
Hello. Okay, so basically within the section, the break section, there is pretty similar. Like the plucks come back, the vocal is playing as well, which is the transitionary tie-in sound to the drop. The plucks come in. What I did notice is there's a lot more variation in the bass sound within the section, which is pretty nice. And this part of the break is different because there is more emphasis where the percussion kind of cuts out, and then there's more emphasis on the vocals and the synths itself. So almost like a little solo section for within this break section. So it's pretty interesting, but the structure to this point is pretty similar to what it was in the beginning, but this is where it varies a little bit from the first break and intro section. So let's keep going.
In the machine, I only see you when I go to sleep. I build a wall under the sheets, and when I'm dreaming that you're here with me.
Okay, so I really do like that break section there. So the vocals play, all the percussion cuts out, even the synths cut out. You just really hear the vocals. Um, like in the beginning of the song, they just play as the main vocal and the vocoder vocal harmonizing together to make it fill the space. And then at the end of the vocal phrase, you hear like there's delay, and then you hear the vocal on one side of your headphone, and then one on the other side of the headphone, almost like delayed from left and right. So it sounds like there's some delayed panning there. They did some panning to make it seem like the delay effect was on one side and the other side. And then basically the instrumental plays. You hear the instrumental for half the measure, and then the clap comes in to give it some flow, and then it transitions right back into the main snare buildup. So it's pretty interesting here to hear that kind of build up in a sense, and just how everything flows really well. I like how Trivecta added some variation there, just kind of cutting everything out except for the vocals, and then transitioning to having a more focus on the instrumental part before getting into the main drop or the second drop. So overall, that section is really good, and we'll keep going.
There's a ghost in the
Okay, so that was Trivecta's song Ghost in a Machine. We'll back up a little bit. So before the second drop starts, I like how there's a sub drop there. Basically, the sub bass goes from a higher pitch and drops all the way down to a lower pitch to where you can't really hear it. So it's a really nice effect that I personally use in stuff I make. And overall, the structure of the second drop is pretty similar to the first drop. But there were some other things I was trying to pick up. Like there's a higher pitch sound that you hear, I want to say like halfway through the first part of the drop, and then you hear this high pitched sound go boo, like it goes all the way up and then sustains for a little bit and then fades out. So it's kind of, a sound I never really noticed until now, listening to the song again. And overall, the structure again is the same, and then how it outros is a little bit faster than some of the other transitions within the song, but it still made sense and it transitioned pretty well. And then you do hear a reverse or a sub bomb or drop at the end of the song, with some of the reverb and delaying out, and just kind of playing out to the rest of the song. So overall, the song's really good. The vocals are really good. I'm kind of confused why Rory didn't get the credit, since like this song is really vocal driven and her vocals pop up all over the place. But really good vocals by Rory. Really good instrumental by Trivecta, I have to admit. Like, as I said, this instrumental reminds me a lot of a older progressive house song from the 2012-2015 period. So you don't hear this too often, and when you do hear it, it's really good. So I'm kind of surprised by how underrated it is, because there's not that many views for it being out at least a year. I thought the song would be pushing at least close to 1 million already, but it's not even close to 300,000 yet. So a little confusing to me, but I don't know. This is still a underrated gem, I guess. But anyways, if you haven't listened to Trivecta's music, definitely check out his other stuff. I hope to do more APA videos on his other songs as well, on Monstercat, because they're just really good. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next A Producer's Approach video. All right, have a good one, everyone. Peace.